When the Shark Tank investors have gone into the water and made their investments, they then have to figure out how to build those companies. And my guest today is the man they turn to solve the e-commerce problems that they have with those new investee companies. We're going to New York. We're going to talk to Sabir Semerkant, who is a growth expert. He has Growth by Sabir. He's going to tell us how he helps companies to scale quickly, about his 8D program and his 2X mentorship. Oh, sorry. I'll do that again. Because eight dimension is the plan, is it?
No, so the framework is 8D method, and the implementation program is Rapid 2X Accelerator program.
Okay.
Yeah.
When the Shark Tank investors have gone into the water and bought into those companies, they've then got to help them accelerate their growth. And the man that they turn to for the e-commerce program is Sabir Semerkant. And he's joining us from New York. Sabir, welcome to the show.
Jim, thank you for having me.
Look, it's my pleasure because e-commerce is huge and you have an 8D framework, which you're going to help us to understand really what e-commerce means, how entrepreneurs can embrace it, and some of the mistakes. And we're also going to talk a little bit about your 2X program, where you help people to get up to speed super, super fast, like as if they got a Shark Tank investment. So it says on your website, Sabir, that you turned promising e-com brands into $10 million a year profitable winners. How do you do that?
A lot of experience is what I can tell you, right? So 8D method actually stands for 8 dimensions, right? So what most e-commerce companies do is they focus on, once they get their Shopify site up, right? Let's talk about the beginning of the journey, right? They get their Shopify site up, they get meta ads installed, and they start running ads, which is okay. You know, in the beginning, it's okay because you don't have, nobody knows your brand, so that's what you're trying to run. And this is where you have to, once you get out of that proof of concept stage, you really need to start implementing all of the right channels, the dimensions, and all of those things. So 8D stands for 8 dimensions of e-commerce. Otherwise, if you don't focus on implementing all the growth levers correctly, you have a lopsided company. And then,
sorry, don't mean to interrupt. Carry on.
Yeah, and what happens is when you have a lopsided company, unfortunately, you have over reliance on one channel, which is meta ads in most cases. You have over reliance on one tactic, not even strategy, which is discounting to debt.
Yeah,
Everything.
exactly.
Any consumer that comes across your brand is 15% off this, $10 off that, 20 quids off of that, or 20 euros off of that, whatever. That's what that's what most people do, and even in those ads they double it up. They go like, oh, if you come and buy from us, we'll give you 50% off. Why 50% off? Because everybody and my neighbor is doing Black Friday sale, it's 50% off. It used to be only in the US that they would do that. Now it's worldwide. Black Friday sale is worldwide now for e-commerce too. So this disease has just gone on across the board, and it's really bad for your business.
Well, so Sabir, it's great that you're on the show, because from what you're kind of also saying is that most people maybe have become were retailers and then have gone into e-commerce and have a relatively unsophisticated view of how e-commerce works. And you've got on your website testimonies from Gary Vee and Neil Patel, for example, Neil Patel Digital. So plainly you're in the milieu of the experts. So we're blessed to have you on the show. We don't have time, obviously, to go through all 8, and you have a program. And at the end, Sabir is going to share with us a code to get a discount if you want to take part in his 2X program, which is an amazing offer. He also has a book, so do stick around. But Sabir, can you just take us through maybe what those 8 dimensions are, and then we can dive into, let's say, one key one so that people get a flavor of what they should be thinking about.
Yeah, not only flavor, I want to make sure that they walk away with something really actionable and high value. They can start thinking about or implement it right away, right? So that they can see value in it. So the 8 dimensions start with the first dimension being, which we will dig into pretty deep, would be performance optimization, right? That's number one. Number two is pricing optimization. So you have to get your pricing right so you can stop couponing to death, right? Number three is customer UX. You have to get the customer journey right from the top of the funnel, from all the way from your organic social post all the way to post purchase and repeat purchases and stuff like that, right? Then marketing and storytelling. What sets your product apart? What sets your brand apart? Why are you the founder, right? Why did you find this company, right? So that's that. Product positioning and brand building, right? Well, can you position your product differently than anybody else? Is it meant to be for a different demographic? Because you could take the same product and market it to a different market, but it depends on how you built your brand around it, right? Is it for disabled Americans, for example? Is it meant to be for tall people, right? Is it meant to be for plus size women, right? You have to catch your lane and see where you want to stick to. Then we go into advanced dimensions, which are logistics. Get your logistics right, supply chain, order fulfillment, customer service, all of these kinds of things. Tech optimization. Do you have the right tech stack, right? In 2025, you should there is rarely a need for you to be building things from the ground up, right? Unless you want to promote yourself as a tech company, which most retailers are not, and the last one, which is very important, get your team right. So team optimization. And when I say team, I don't mean just your full-time employees. I mean everybody. Anyone, if your grandmother in your garage, packs your orders every week, the orders that you get, she is part of the team, right? And we need to make sure that it works. And all the third-party partners that you have. So those are the 8 dimensions. You have to get all the 8 right. And when you optimize one, for example, logistics. Let's go with that example, right? You make a 10% improvement in logistics, ends up improving your ROAS on meta ads by 30% without even touching the ad account. This is how these 8 dimensions are interconnected to each other.
Sabir, so you've got 8 sort of hexagon, and you say really a holistic approach to the business, being online and offline, customer journey, fulfillment, and all the support infrastructure, and the people, granny or otherwise, that are making it all happen. Especially if you've got distributed supply chains, for example, that must make a big difference, especially right now if they're being disrupted. Sabir, can you give us an example, a case study of a company that you've worked with, and what you saw when you went in, and how you helped them to turn that around? On your website, you have so many amazing case studies of companies that have grown
Yeah, let's stick with
10x.
one that's most recent, right? Let me take you through that journey. So, Oram Brothers is a men's jewelry brand from the Netherlands, right? They came to us, and it was. I want to give you the dates because it's really important to understand the dates, because the context is really important. January 20th, 2024. So like literally a little over a year ago, right? So it's very relevant. It's not from, I can give you examples of Vitamin Shop from 25 years ago. That's not going to be relevant to today. So let's talk about today, right? So Oren Brothers came to us January 20th. The two is run by 2 brothers and a sister-in-law, right? And the whole family is involved in the business, right? They make men's jewelry. Specifically, their primary category is men's bracelets. So you can think about how niche that is, because even from a cultural standpoint, very specific cultures allow you to wear men's bracelet, right? It's a fashion statement. It's a very specific demographic that would be interested in that. They came to us. The business was stuck at $1.5 million for many years. And what happens when as an entrepreneur, what do, right? When your business is stuck, you think that, oh, you know what? Maybe the price of ad cost has gone up, which is factually you're right, so that you start spending more like this. But your business keeps on, because you're not addressing the elephant in the room, right? It's 1.5. It keeps on maybe even dipping down to 1.3, 1.2. Then it's maybe 1.4. You're happy a little bit, but still stuck at that 1.5 million, and mounting expenses. What happens to your net cash flow? Negative, right? And what do you do next? Every entrepreneur goes through this. Business loans, go to the bank, credit cards, let's run them up, right?
Yeah.
And
Or you
well,
take less salary as the founder, you take less cash out, right? Or
yeah,
you,
you know
yeah,
what? Let's
trade
invest in the
costs.
company.
Yeah.
I don't want to take money. So now you're eating dog food,
Yeah.
or rice and beans, like
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey says, right?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that Dave Ramsey, the
Right.
financial guy, So, uh, so your net cash flow in their case turned negative, right? And when they came to us, we started looking, and within the first 6 weeks of cleanup, and this is why when you are very kind of intentful on the things you want to do in your business, things can change very quickly to the positive, right? In their case, so let's talk about the implementation part of it, right? So the 8D framework is a framework so that there's a book on it. We can talk about it later, right? They can go and download it. They can go and ask for a complimentary copy. We'll give it to them. The we go through this process, and the first dimension is performance optimization, right? So we go through it within the first 6 weeks. Takes about 6 weeks to work on performance optimization because you have already invested in a stack that I know that you have invested in. It's Shopify, it's Klaviyo, it's Meta Ads, it's Google Ads. You have done some content marketing, you have done some organic social posts. Those are the givens. I know that 99% of Shopify businesses, that's what they do, right? So instead of asking you to invest in anything new, let's fix the thing that you already have, right? In these 6 weeks, this is where this is, they get, in case of Oren Brothers, they saw 112% increase in their revenue. So
Wow.
forget about being stuck for 3 years. Now they're moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah. And with no additional cost, because if you're just optimizing the existing tech stack
This
and
process, the
yeah.
analogy that I use, Jim, is I pull an elephant out of an ant's butt, because we've had so many entrepreneurs come to us and go like, well, last year, Sabir, is the program going to be that useful? Because we hired a CRO specialist, we did a performance optimization, we paid like $15,000-$20,000. Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of those rapid 2xers in my program. When they go through it, they thought that their business was ultra optimized. They come in and join the program for other reasons, right? And they within the first 6 weeks, they see like in fact the first week they see like 70 to 80% improvement. They go like, what did I pay for? We're like, I don't know. I didn't hire them. You hired them. What did you
Yeah.
pay for? Like, it seems like a waste of time, and money that you wasted that much money on that. So in their case, let's fast forward the Orem brothers. So we went through dimension 2, 3, all the ones that we explained, right?
Yep.
And we were still going through, I think, dimension 5, right? And it was September 9, 2024. So they started January 20th, 2024. September 9, 2024, we surpassed $1.5 million. What's more important, it was actually at 1 p.m. Eastern time because everything is baseline to my New York time, where I am, right? So 1 p.m. we surpassed 1.5 million. But because we have done marketing and storytelling and brand building and also pricing during that 9-month journey, the thing is, we actually increased our prices. We actually rationalized our product catalog also. What happened to our gross margin? Gross margin went up like this by 30%, right? Our net cash flow went positive. We started paying off all that debt that had accrued before me, right? What happened from September 9, 1:01 p.m. to December 31st? That includes the entire holiday period. We scored another $1.5 million.
So just to be clear, Sabir, they were doing about 1.2 million a year,
1.5 million per year, yeah.
and then you managed to get that 1.5 within 3 months, right?
9 months, in 9 months.
9 months,
And
right?
more profitably,
Yeah, right.
right?
So
And from September 9 through December 31, for those 4 months now, another 1.5 million to end the year at $3 million and better, positive cash flow that they had not seen in a while. To the end, from basically whatever revenue and cash flow we had from September through December, we ended up paying off all the business loans. So the company was debt free when we entered January 1st, 2025, which is a couple of months ago, right? And we set the goal to go from 3 million to 10 million this year. And we're on our way to doing that this year,
wow.
and profitably. Because the thing is with the 8D method, at its core, and Warren Buffett will be very proud of me, and he's another mentor of mine, right? He's my mentor, right, from a financial standpoint and lessons I learned in life, is compounded growth. Anytime that you work on anything, I take it a step further. Your time should have compounded productivity. Your money should have compounded growth. Your revenue should have compounded growth. When you
Yeah.
acquire those customers, they should have compounded through replenishment cycles, meaning they keep on buying from you. They should have a compounded effect to it. So this is why these businesses, they don't only just grow under Sabir's attention, right? They continue growing and compounding over time, because I want to see healthy businesses over time.
Yeah, and presumably, Sabir, you're starting to help these companies to get repeat business from existing customers. Because my wife actually has an e-commerce business on Shopify, and getting people in is, as we know, really hard work. And they get in to buy a second time is really the golden goose, because there's no additional acquisition cost, right? So presumably in your 8D, you have this customer retention strategy, and when you've got people like the brothers in Holland coming to you, tell us about this 2X program then, because there are lots of sort of like courses and there are lots of gurus, and courses people end up kind of trying to do it on their own and get a bit lost halfway through. The gurus have a methodology that often people aren't in alignment because their business doesn't quite fit the guru. How are you getting the implementation, Sabir, to be so effective?
Because it's a good mix. It's first of all, Rapid 2X program is not a digital course, to be very clear, right? In fact, if you are the digital course junkie, you can go and pick up my book and read it. We'll give it to you for complimentary, right? I'm not even charging you for that, right? We'll give it to all of your listeners. They can go and pick it up, right? When I put this framework together, and it has taken me about 25 years to put it together, and right now the current iteration that it's going through, the changes it's going through in implementation, is AI implementation of, so that every entrepreneur looks for those 17 hands that they cannot afford to help with their business. AI can help you with that, and that's what I'm 8D is going to incorporate in every dimension AI into it, right? So that you are, and that's not just a buzzword. You can actually use it with actually people who are going through the program. So the Rapid 2X program came about because people said it's great that this framework exists, but you know what? I can read Gordon Ramsay's cooking book, right? But I wouldn't be able to cook like or make
Yeah.
amazing masterpieces like Gordon Ramsay. The same applies to you with e-commerce. I can read the thing, I can try to understand it, but I'm a product designer. I don't understand it, all of these dimensions. I might understand one part of it. So can you guide me through this, right? That was the antithesis of like when we came up with the Rapid 2X program, right? That it's a implementation program that I actually guide people through the implementation of this, and every week it's very simple. Like during the whole Rapid 2X journey, I'm in charge. Yeah, and you as a founder, you cannot send your people to this program to say, hey, well, my director of marketing will be attending this. No, you're not going to get the right value, because we want you to make a decision. We want you to run the company. I'm not running the company, right? I'm coaching you, right? Think of it like Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san from the Karate Kid. I'm Mr. Miyagi, right? I'm not going to be Daniel-san in that tournament fighting. I'm going to teach Daniel-san how to fight, right? If you understand that analogy, it's a
Yeah.
movie from the 80s or 90s, I think,
Yeah,
right?
no, I think you and I are probably able to get that. And I think, and I will just on that note comment, because you've got Neil Patel, who's obviously the digital guru, and he says about you, Sabir takes a very long-term approach to marketing, which is refreshing. So instead of looking at marketing from a traditional perspective, he looks to see where he can innovate and get a leg up on his competition. And it sounds as though you're helping your clients get a leg up on the competition. And you've also, I think, raised a very important issue about how, you know, courses seem like a quick fix, but actually, as a founder, we have to learn the skills and maybe think differently, work differently, and
You have
implement
to.
those. Yeah. So Sabir, when you're helping people with the 8D, is there like a recurring problem or a recurring challenge that you find these entrepreneurs face, or does every entrepreneur face something slightly different?
In most cases, what they're doing is they're missing the fundamental, right? The fundamentals, they're missing it, because they didn't know any better, right? When they started the journey, they wanted to make a handcrafted bag, right? That was the thing that they wanted to do. They wanted to come up with the better widget, the better mousetrap, right? Or the better thing because they saw an opportunity in the market because it wasn't there. However, they don't have the expertise in the other things. So they didn't understand that fundamentally, right? The product could be fundamentally in a good shape just from a manufacturing standpoint, engineering standpoint, right? But when it comes to actual, right, marketing of it, positioning of the product, these are different skill sets, right?
Yeah.
Lucky for me, for 25 plus years being in e-commerce, since the birth of e-commerce, I have touched every single area. I've actually had to innovate and come up with things that didn't exist. I had to write the book because the book didn't exist on how to do it in e-commerce. There were some reference points like direct marketing, TV marketing, infomercial marketing, radio marketing, stuff like that, right? Classic marketing like Madman, right? There were things like that, but it didn't exist for e-commerce. I had to innovate. I had to come up with things like the concept of, the first innovation came from Amazon, but I had to do it for DTC. It was affiliate marketing, for example,
Yep.
right? Didn't exist, right? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
applying the life cycle marketing in e-commerce, how do you do it exactly? Because it's not exactly the same way you would do it in direct marketing, right? So there are things like that you had to learn over time. And today, there's a lot of specialists in the market, people who are, quote unquote, meta ad specialists, Google
Yeah. Yeah.
ad specialists, affiliate specialists, influencer specialists. But nobody has a holistic mindset of like looking at the whole picture and saying like, this is what we need to fix across the board. Or how does the conversation, because it's digital, how do we make that digital relationship and journey into an analog journey, right? And how do we stitch that journey together? And if you don't have that mindset and you don't think about it and you don't put the right methodology in place, what happens? Then you overspend on one channel thinking that I need to fix my ads. Gary V said to me, I need to test and learn and optimize my ad creative with audiences. By the way, he's a brother of mine. We co-founded Commerce together in my
Oh,
history,
right.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He was here in the UK recently talking about, go online and go free. But I think also, sorry to cut you off there or interrupt you there, but, as you say, your history of over 25 years is kind of the history of e-commerce. I mean, Amazon was
It
just
is.
started when we were young. Well, internet, back in the mid 90s, we had the beginnings of Google and Yahoo, right? So you have really been at the growth of an industry, and also listening to you just brings back memories of, the book Range by David Epstein,
Hmm.
who talks about really the benefit of having someone who has a breadth of experience, because people in the niches, although that's fashionable to say there's riches in the niches, actually running a company isn't a niche job. You have to have oversight over in fact, the totality of the business, from product to marketing to logistics to finance to HR. So it's fantastic that you've got that, Sabir, and are able to bring that to people. If there's, if you like, a sort of a piece of advice that you would give to an entrepreneur that's, maybe they've got a product. I suppose most people in e-commerce start with a product rather than,
Hmm.
unless they're thinking about drop shipping as a business and then look for a product. Where do you take them first, Sabir, if you've got someone wants to do e-commerce that has a business idea?
So just a couple of things there, right? You mentioned the word drop shipping. This program and framework is not for drop shipping. You can start your proof of concept because you're at the early stages. Let's get that from a zero to a $10,000 in revenue, right?
Yep.
It gives you a proof point that, you know what, if I do this right and if I want to invest in it, this is a good proof point that it works, right? Get it to that $10,000. $10,000 is not a big number, right? And you can do that one way or another. Within a couple of months, you can get $10,000 in revenue, right? Get it out of that proof of concept. And even emotionally as a consumer, as an entrepreneur, right? You want that proof point because you go like, oh, I got that first badge, right? Sabir's first badge of proof of concept. I got it, perfect. And then move off of it. Move off of the drop shipping model because in long term, that's not sustainable. It's not going to help you. In fact, even with drop shipping, what I would recommend is just buy 50 units of the product from Alibaba or wherever you go to buy it, right? Bring it in because you want to go through packing, picking, packing, shipping it, putting a little card in there. You want to go through those processes that you're not going to get from a drop shipper overseas, and even the experience is going to be horrible because somebody's going to get their package after they place an order 4 months later, right? And that's not a great experience. You're not going to learn anything from it. If you want to invest in it, just invest, buy 50 units of the product, put up a Shopify site, get through the proof of concept, learn through all of that stuff, because that's a great learning experience. As an entrepreneur, you have to be open to learning, right? That you cannot say that, oh well, that's not me, right? Actually, in the Rapid 2X program, the approval criteria, we go through a rigorous interview process, right? This is not an easy program to get into, right? We want to make sure that there are two things: the entrepreneur is the right fit for the program, and that's a personality test, and number two, through the interview process, and my guys are really great at, my team is great at going through that process to evaluate, right? And number two, is the business in the right stage for it to benefit from the Rapid 2X program, right? So we go through that two criteria. And the entrepreneurs, this is what they get wrong, right? There are entrepreneurs that are, they go like, you know what, I don't understand that, I'm gonna just hire, right? So they don't really appreciate the knowledge aspect of it, and that becomes a detriment for their journey. It does, it comes and bites them in the ass in the long run, right? That's a very American saying, by the way, right?
but, but
So
but you're right, Sabir. Sorry, just to interrupt you there, but what you're really offering then, from the sound, from a layperson's point of view, is really an MBA, in like an executive MBA,
yep,
in
an
e-commerce,
accelerated
right?
one,
An
hands-on,
accelerated,
hands-on. That not
yeah.
By the way, I do guest lecture at Harvard Business School also. So, and I guest lecture MBA and executive MBA students. I've mentored plenty of them. But this is more like you're not only investing in the program to learn, but at the same time you're implementing and you're improving your business. And that's why, on average, we took 12 brands, not just Oram Brothers. We took 12 brands that started the journey with us last year, and we are following them. Just 2024 results, 103.34% growth. If I include this first quarter, 118% growth. Since they started the program, so it's very effective. And the biggest thing is, these entrepreneurs, when they go through this learning process, right, they start going like, wow, I didn't realize that I was wasting so much time, right?
Yeah,
And that's a big realization in the program.
and presumably money. And Sabir's going to give us a code at the end, by the way, along with a free download of his book, which is amazing value. So thank you so much for that, Sabir. So just briefly, we touched on AI. We don't have a full show on it, unfortunately, but just your opinion: is AI really going to help the entrepreneur transform their e-commerce business? And if people really want to then talk to you more about it, they can contact you. But what's your view? Is it really something that people need to pay attention to, or is it something that's going to be a fad?
Not a fad. Just like internet was not a fad, e-commerce was not a fad. By the way, I was told those things, in my career, right? AI
Yeah.
definitely is not a fad. And the thing is, the right AI for your business, understanding it, how to utilize it in your workflows, understanding where you can benefit from, so that what you can do is then you can invest in the right experts that you want to add on to your team to execute. But what it does is it has accelerated. I'll give you the beginning of my journey in 2 seconds, right? Vitamin Shop, it took me 4.5 years to take it from bankruptcy. Pre-bankruptcy was like $8 to $10 million. Took me 4.5 years to grow it to $52 million, right? At a time that was 25 years ago, and it is an impossible task to even do that back then, because Google was in its beta stage. Facebook, TikTok, none of this stuff existed, right? None
Yeah.
of Shopify didn't exist, right? I had to build my e-commerce platform. Fast forward, the speed of growth, profitable growth, just under my guidance, has accelerated even now. So now that this is one of the reasons, like, companies see under the Rapid 2X program, in 6 weeks, if with the first dimensions, they see a tremendous growth, right? We have had outliers in the Rapid 2X. Lisa Denon from Lions Leather, 1,400% growth, in 6 weeks.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
And
So
she's
really,
now growing into a multi-million dollar brand now, right? And she continues implementing the dimensions deeper and deeper and deeper, so that they can see even more growth with an exit in mind.
Yeah, Sabir, that's so it's a great investment. You say people have got to apply to come on your program, and we're going to give people a link to find out how to do that. Sabir, what would be your number one tip for entrepreneurs? Because you've had your own businesses, you've now worked with hundreds of brands. What would be your tip from entrepreneur to me and to my fellow?
I can tell you that, like, a lot of entrepreneurs come to me and they say, to the essence, that they are a snowflake, right? Why snowflake? Because it's unique, right? They
Yep.
think that, oh, you know what, my product is so different. We don't have competition. If you don't have competition in that field, you don't have consumers. So you might as
Yeah.
well. I'll save you money, shut down your business, right? So it just doesn't make sense. Like, they come to me and they say, oh, you know what, I'm a Norwegian guy that has lived in Australia with kids. I have twins. Each one of them has a blue and green eye because their mom has a green eye and I have blue eye, but they have one of each eyes, right? Left-handed, right-handed, and my products, they're like vapor. That's Do you work with vapor, right? And the thing is, I spent 3 months vacationing in LA. Like, that's relevant, right? The reason I'm telling you this ridiculous example is because, to me, that's what it sounds like, right? I worked in multiple countries, multiple currencies. Globetrotter is an iconic brand from the UK, by the way, right? Luggage company, luxury,
Yes.
ultra
Yeah.
high end, right? Their minimum price is $1,600 or pounds, right? Pound sterling. They make luggage for 007, Aston Martin, those guys, right?
Yep.
They tried the Rapid 2X program in Japan, UK, EU, and US, Canada, right? That's in your market in the UK. That's an example, right? That
Yep.
specifically. And a luxury brand, like, would it work for a luxury brand, or do you just recommend couponing to that? No, I don't. That's actually, I'm against it. So, the thing is, there is no such thing as snowflake. You have to understand, like, come into the program, and the entrepreneurs that come in and literally put the blinders on and go, like, whatever Sabir tells me, because he's been doing this and he has a lot of case studies and he's doing it so long, I'm going to just listen to him. And this year, I'm going to just listen to Sabir. Whatever he has to say in the Rapid 2X, I'm going to just do it. Those are the entrepreneurs that are winning big time and with their growth, profitable growth, right? And compounded growth over time. The ones that don't win are the ones that they come into the mindset of, I don't know if it's going to work. We did this in the past. I don't know. We modified the task this way. No, I told you, I'm Mr. Miyagi. I'm telling you, this is the move.
Okay.
Wax on, wax off. Just do it exactly what I'm telling you. Don't do anything. And you have to do only 5 tasks per week. I'm not telling you to do 15, 50 tasks per week. These are very effective 5 things I need you to do Monday through Thursday, Friday, 1 task per day. That's it. 15 minutes to 90 minutes. That's it.
Well, Sabir Semerkant, if people want to get their sort of their instructions from Mr. Miyagi of e-commerce, where can they come to find you? Because I'm sold. If I had an e-commerce business, I might make one just so I can come and work with you, Sabir. Where can people go and get? You've got a book and also a value-added an offer, kindly for me and for my listeners.
Yeah, for your listeners, we actually did something very special for them. We actually set up a special URL. It's growthbysabir.com/unnoticed. So you can include that in the video description and the podcast description,
We
right? So
will
that they
do.
can just click on it. I'm just mentioning it. So
Thank you.
growthbysabir.com/unnoticed, just like the show, right? And when they go there, they can apply to the program, and they will get $500 off of the program's cost. So, and we have a lot of great payment plans and stuff like that. We have people that are running $100,000 brand, and they are per year to $10 million, right? So anywhere in that range that you are in, you will be okay, right? And you will have options for payment plans and stuff like that. And you can just mention that you came through the URL, the unnoticed, when you talk to my team, to get that $500 off of the price.
Sabir, that's very, very generous. Thank you so much. And it sounds as well as though it's accessible. You don't have to be a multi-million-dollar brand already. You could be 100,000, a six-figure brand, right? Not a 7 and 8 figure. You could be a six-figure brand, makes it worthwhile. And also, if you're getting such rapid improvement in both revenue and net cash, you can fund
It's a no-brainer. It pays
that
for
payback.
itself in
Okay,
the first 6 weeks.
Sabir, I say I got to figure out what I can build so I can come on your course. Sabir, if people want to get hold of you, how can they do that?
Actually, if you go through my site, I have all of my content there. I have all of my, I am on LinkedIn, so you can find my name. I have a very unique name. So not many Sabir Semerkants out there in the world, in the whole world, you know. So you
Yeah.
could definitely find me on LinkedIn. You could definitely find me there. I do have a YouTube channel, but everything is accessible by just going to that link. If you can go to growthbysabir.com/unnoticed, right? You will see all of my content there, all the links to my social media and everything. So that's a good link to go to.
Sabir, thank you. We'll put Sabir's contact details in the show notes. Sabir, thank you so much for joining me today.
Jim, it has been great talking to you, and thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. And well, we're very blessed to have someone that has your experience, Sabir's experience and breadth of knowledge. We just touched on one of the 8 dimensions and his 2X program. So I'd really encourage you to think about that, because an e-commerce business is a different kind of beast. It's not just about the product. It is the whole end to end and has its own very special characteristics. So very blessed to have Sabir really just lift the lid a little bit on what's required. So the Shark Tank go to him. The Shark Tank investors go to Sabir for help. I suggest that we do as well. So until we meet again, I just do encourage you to keep on communicating.